All right, kids, welcome back to a new edition of Sports Adrenaline. Yeah, I know we've been on hiatus for a little bit. I was on vacation. It was the summer, but we've got a massive monster weekend coming up, right? Golden Knights training camp beginning, well, essentially beginning today. Big news there. We know a player's going to miss camp. Some of you probably already saw it. Hey, Matt jumped on right away, so this will be good. Let's bring Matt on, and then we'll be good to go. And we'll have a big show here. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for hopping on. We've got family hopping on, but hopefully everybody hopping on here, whether you're watching live or after the fact. Again, Sports Adrenaline show. We've been doing this for a while. And yeah, I know we haven't been here all the time, but we figure with this big weekend. Hey, Maddie, big
How
weekend
you
in
doing,
Las
John?
Vegas. I know it feels like forever since we've done one of these because it has been. Don't cut me
It's
off.
been too
Yeah,
long,
yeah,
man. It's been too
exactly.
long.
It looks like your Wi-Fi is good. My Wi-Fi is good. So let's start this thing. First off, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's a busy weekend coming up here. It's a good time to jump back on this thing with you.
Sure. Yeah, we've got, where do we start, right? NASCAR triple header. Golden Knights camp opens up. Las Vegas Aces in the playoffs starting on Sunday. Las Vegas Lights on Saturday. Tyson Fury on Saturday. We've known this for a while, but still there's doubters out there, haters out there that don't think we're the sports capital of the world. Again, what other city in the country or in the world has all this stuff going on the same weekend? Nobody.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate at this point. I mean, it's going to be a chaotic weekend, and I know I'm pretty confident that you and I are going to be at a lot of this stuff this weekend. So we'll try to get to everybody out there as much as we possibly can. It's only two of us, and there's about
Yeah.
200 events going on this weekend, so we'll do our
Yeah.
best.
I was certainly noting a good friend of mine that's a pretty well-known name. I won't name drop, but I was telling him about how I can't be everywhere. He's going to the fight on Saturday. I won't be there. I'll be at NASCAR, and then I'll be at NASCAR and the Golden Knights game on Sunday. Well, let's start with Knights, Matt, and I guess we'll just start with the latest breaking news, right? Ryan Reeves. So that's the name that is missing camp, an undisclosed summer injury. It sounds like everything's going to be A-okay here. I guess I'm just learning this within the last hour or so. I don't know when exactly it broke, but the Review Journal broke it. So no real big concerns. And, I mean, you look at, maybe we'll kind of take this take. You look at like Zeke Elliott, right? Sits out all of training camp, and he's coming back with the Cowboys now. I'll go out on a limb here, Matt, and go Rob Gronkowski on you. I think he's coming back, by the way, in like week 6. He'll miss all the training camp. And sure, I'm sure it'll take Ryan Reeves a few games to get back into the flow here. But what do you think? I guess the negatives here are if Ryan Reeves doesn't make camp.
I think it's a non-issue. Ryan Reeves is a guy who keeps himself in pretty good shape. He's a guy that only plays about, 12 minutes, 10 minutes a game on average. So it's not like he's a top line center that's going to be out there on every penalty kill and every power play and get the most shifts out of the game. So I don't think it's a big deal. It sounds like it's just a minor hand injury, something he probably aggravated doing his regular workouts. He'll be ready to go come start of the season. This is about, guys are nicked up. If you have little bumps, bruises, whatever the case is, heal up, get ready for the season. Make sure you're ready to go on October 2nd at T-Mobile against San Jose, and don't concern yourself too much with a few preseason games.
Yeah, and it's funny, and you know this as well as I, but already camp is, well, it's broken for one day, and already we're getting the silent treatment from the Vegas Golden Knights staff about injury status. And
Shocking.
that is, yeah, exactly. Day to day is what we're reading here. At least I'm reading here in this story,
Yeah.
according to the RJ. Day to day could be like 3 months. So hopefully it really is a day to day
Uh,
injury. I didn't go to camp today, so I can't say what Kelly McCrimmon said, by the way, new GM officially now. So don't know exactly. But before we get into camp, Matt, something personal to me, and I know you saw the story, but Shea Theodore's story broke today. And for those of
mhm.
you who are catching on here and didn't hear about it this morning, so Shea Theodore, 3 months ago, he says in this article by Players Tribune, diagnosed with testicular cancer. Really scary. Scary time, right, for him. And if you read that story, which I'd encourage you to do, maybe not right this moment, but go check it out at some point, he elaborates on what happened. And it brings a lot of memories back for me, just my diagnosis and the fear and the anxiety and all that stuff coming through. But I want to, I guess, open up with this point, Matt, is that if the Vegas Golden Knights didn't get knocked out of the playoffs when they did, Theodore wouldn't have been playing in the World Championships like he would have been, and wouldn't have gotten this drug test that he tested positive for, which revealed his high hormone levels that eventually diagnose as cancer. So, I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, it's pretty. My diagnosis kind of went the same way, Matt, to be honest with you. It's amazing how these things work out. And if you need a reason, I guess, to feel good about the Knights getting knocked out of the playoffs, honestly, I think this is it for me.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, it's so circumstantial. You just never know, How often do you hear stories about people that go in for a random test and boom, this other thing pops up and they just happen to have been there going for something completely different and they lucked out, if you want to call it lucky, to luck out in that situation. It's good that they caught it when they did. It's good that it didn't go on and fester and become something bigger without them having any knowledge of it and then become an actual serious life-threatening issue for Shea Theodore. So, it's nobody's ever going to be happy about what happened in Game 7, but this is a little bit of a silver lining to that situation, if you want to call it that. Finding out that you have testicular cancer isn't necessarily a silver lining, but it's because they weren't able to advance in the playoffs that they did find this out when they did.
Yeah, and I don't know if Shea was available today. Again, essentially the first availability for players this season was today, so I don't even know if he spoke about it. But clearly, whenever the media does get a chance to talk to him, we'll want to ask him. And Shea, he's a quiet guy. Sure, he didn't want to talk about it at all, but I think with that piece coming out, you realize, and he realizes the importance, and you saw probably the link there, Matt, about they included, hey, you can click on this link and raise some funds for early detection. But he had surgery. It seems like he's okay, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be any lingering issues into camp. I haven't seen that. I don't know how that's going to affect him moving forward, but clearly one of the things we'll be looking out for during training camp and how his healing process is coming along. But with camp officially starting today, but on ice tomorrow, Matt, just give me a couple things. What are you really looking for? Obviously, the defenseman and what's going to happen there is a big thing, but what else are you looking for during training camp?
Which one of these young kids is going to step up? Is it going to be Jimmy Schultz? Is it going to be Nick Hague? Are we going to see Cody Glass finally make the big club? Is White Cloud going to be part of this? I mean, how many of these guys are actually going to make the NHL roster this year? I think that's the biggest key going into this camp is, I mean, we know who the top 6 are going to be. There may be some shuffling going on. I mean, maybe Alex Tuck jumps up there. Maybe you drop Riley Smith down. But that bottom 6, I think there's a lot of room there to make some moves. And then obviously the defensive pairings are going to be an issue as well. So I'm really anxious to see who steps up in camp and who really shines out and says, hey, look, you have to put me on the roster here. I think Nick Hague might be one of the front runners because that kid is he's big, he's physical. I think he's ready to go, and I know that he's anxious to get onto that big club.
Yeah, and if you're watching, again, feel free to comment, right? It looks a little different. I don't know if you knew this, and I hate to say this flippantly, but our old studio burned to the ground. It's gone.
Quite literally burned to the ground.
I'm still investigating it, I believe, at the cause. Don't know if there was any nefarious activity. Matt and I have some theories on that, who might have done it. But anyway, best to Rich Giacovino, our producer. He seems like he's doing well, Matty. I know he's busy and working, and we're still working hard. Hopefully,
I think he's in the nation's capital right now, isn't he? He's hanging out in D.C., taking some great photos out there. Good for him.
Exactly. But hopefully we'll have a home base here soon enough. So first game, Golden Knights against the Coyotes here on Sunday. Again, part of that huge weekend here. And like you said, Matt, I mean, it's really our opportunity to see the kids play. I don't really have anything to add to what you said. I do want to see what Cody Glass brings. I want to see what Schultz can do because it seems like it's his job to lose at this point, or what's the vibe that you're getting? I mean, with the contract that he gets, the 1-year, $850,000 contract, I mean, it's not saying screaming long-term solution here, but it seems like it's his job to lose.
Yeah, I think that contract says, you know what, you need to show us what you can do because we're counting on you to make this big club and be a regular on the NHL roster. It doesn't mean he will. I mean, we've seen guys bounce up and down a lot on this in this just a couple of years that the team has been here, but I think they expect him to do big things, and giving him that contract, albeit only 1 year, I think they're really assuming that he's going to do enough to make the team.
Yeah, and I'm just now playing out in my head a scenario like Valentin Zykov maybe. I guess that's the only parallel I can draw to where there's probably going to be a few guys. Hague's on a 2-way contract. I'm sure he'll maybe early in the season if Schultz really doesn't establish himself, you'll see Hague play, and Schultz might be a scratch for 5, 6, 7 straight games, as they maybe
Right.
get a look at some of these other guys. So I'd say maybe coming out of camp, maybe this isn't resolved. It might linger early in the season, and you know this as well as I do, Matt. You know, the first quarter of the season, is that the first 20 games or so, right? Last year they kind of
Yeah.
struggled out of the gates, so and still roared back to make the playoffs and was still I think they were the favorite in the Western Conference right before they got knocked out by the Sharks
Yep.
there. But
Yeah, that was the unfortunate Game
yeah,
7. We don't need to talk about that anymore, John.
point being is that the first 20 games or so, you know, you're going to see some experimenting and going back even to Brandon Peary, right? A guy that I love.
Yeah.
Where does he fit in? Where does he slot in? Is he going to be a consistent presence on the third line? Do they even put him on the fourth line? So I guess there's a few things, and we're probably not going to see any of these guys play the first couple preseason games. Usually Marc-Andre doesn't play until the fourth or fifth game, so we know that we're going to get a great look at these guys. Anything else about Golden Knights camp or anything to add?
No, I'm excited. It'll be out there tomorrow, and we'll get our first look at the regulars, the NHL guys, and see how they look out there. But just excited to get it going. It's hard to believe already, man. All the turmoil and everything that happened over the summer, and here we go. Sunday they jump on the ice at T-Mobile against Arizona. Before you know it, October 2nd will be here, and here come the Sharks.
Well, that was my next question. What do you think that's going to be like? So Matt is part of my season ticket
Chaos.
group. Yeah, he's part of the season ticket group. And, you know, he was emphatic. I need the home opener. And I acquiesced, a big 50-cent word there. I acquiesced, and I said, fine, Matt, you can have the opener. I'll pick a different game. It's chaos. What do you think?
My son is pretty excited for this one. This is going to be, I mean, this is what a rivalry is all about. And you know what? Whether they did it on purpose or not, I'm pretty confident they did. Kudos to the NHL, because Vegas's home opener is San Jose and San Jose's home opener is Vegas. You can't get any better after the way Game 7 ended with the quote-unquote not a major and the 4 goals in 5 minutes and everything that went down there. This is what has to be for these two teams. They have to open up on each other's ice. This is going to be incredible. I can't wait to see that atmosphere. I'm sure you saw the reports from guys that were out in Anaheim for the rookie camp, and San Jose players that had absolutely nothing to do with Game 7 weren't there, weren't on the ice. Some of them weren't even Sharks yet, and Golden Knights fans were booing them as they walked through the tunnel. So, man, this is rivalry. This is sports. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a lot of fun to open up the season.
Yeah, I can't wait. Clearly, Matt and I are going to stop by camp at some point here. It's, you know, running essentially every day over at City National now. So we'll be looking forward to that. But let's move on. I guess I want to jump to the Raiders. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm seeing your T-shirt. But maybe a good point here to revisit last Monday night and then look ahead to Kansas City. And we haven't talked about Antonio Brown, so I feel like this could take an hour and a half here, this segment in and of itself. But let's just start with how they played Monday night. First drive, they go down, they score a touchdown, and David Carr. Sorry, not David Carr. Derek Carr. Holy crap. Brain fart. It's only game one. Derek Carr looked great, right? What'd he throw? Only 4 incompletions. What'd you take away from that first game?
Balance. I thought their offense was extremely balanced. Josh Jacobs is everything that they hoped he would be when they drafted him as the first overall running back in the draft last season. This guy's a stud. He runs behind his pads. He gets his level down, and he will run you over. I mean, the majority of his yards came after contact. This kid is great at breaking tackles. He's great at making guys miss, and he churns out the hard yards. I mean, the stat came up at the end of the game. First running back since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2001 to have over 100 combined yards and 2 touchdowns in his NFL debut. Kind of a random stat, you know, that sometimes they look for things like this, but anytime you're talking about 17 years, something hasn't happened, and the last guy to do it was a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson, who's one of the best running backs of all time, first ballot Hall of Famer. That's really saying something. Derek Carr was great. He looks extremely comfortable in year 2 of this John Gruden offense. This is only the second time in Derek Carr's career that we've seen him in an offense for a second season. The last time this happened was in 2016. He got hurt game before last, but in those games, he went 11-4 and was an MVP candidate, and he looked fantastic that season. Expect to see a lot more of that this year. And let's talk about the offensive line. Derek Carr wasn't touched. Offensive line missing Gabe Jackson, missing Richie Incognito, so missing both of their starting guards. still did not allow a sack, did not allow a pressure, did not allow a hurry. He was not touched the entire game. And that's key for Derek Carr. You have to keep that pocket clean for him. You have to allow him to drop back, have time, scan the field. That's when he's at his best. I mean, that's probably true of most quarterbacks, but definitely in Derek Carr's case. And they did a great job at keeping him upright.
Yeah, and you're leading me into what I want to talk about. That was on the defensive side of the football, Matt. Again, I'm learning this roster as the season goes on, the preseason goes on, but I know what happened last year. Could not pressure the quarterback whatsoever, and Cleveland Furrow goes in there and plays a pretty good game. I believe he got a sack. I don't know.
He did.
Maybe, yeah, okay, got a sack in that game.
It was a coverage sack, but it was a sack nonetheless.
Yeah, but still, the line play on both sides. So you start with the offensive line. I'll go with the defensive line. Something we did not see last year, right? Them getting to the quarterback. And the Broncos, for what they've been through, right? Maybe the reputation's preceding them a little bit going into this season, but always known for a pretty solid offensive line. And yet the Raiders were able to get to the quarterback, put pressure on Flacco, and really you saw their inconsistency throughout the first half, leading up until they started playing a little bit better in the second half.
Very aggressive, the Raiders defense the other night. It started with the first play of the game. Josh Morrow just came off that side, held his edge, and they tried to run that jet sweep, and John Gruden just harped on jet sweep, jet sweep, jet sweep. Saw so much of it last season, and they were destroyed by the jet sweep last year, and Morrow was right there and dropped the Broncos for a 5-yard loss in the first defensive play of the game, and that really set the tone for what you were going to see from this team throughout. Couple of strips that they got on Flacco. One of them called back, a fumble that they actually recovered there, and then the other one they couldn't recover, but it took them out of field goal range. Got a lot of hands on batted balls. It would have been nice to see an interception or two, but you can see the activity there. They're all over the place. They're swarming. Unfortunate that they lost Jonathan Abram for the season with a torn labrum, but
he didn't even look hurt. That's the crazy part, is that on that
No.
play that it could have happened. I mean, he just bounced up and business as usual.
Well, he told Derek
crazy.
Carr, I just hit with the other shoulder. That's what he did the rest of the game. He just hit guys with the other shoulder. I mean, you know, it's too bad that he's not going to be there, especially this week going against a passing attack like Kansas City. But you can see how much more talent and how much more speed this team has than what they had last year. 13 sacks last season. They gave up, I believe, 56 sacks. You come into Monday night, they get 3 sacks, and they give up 0. Already, they flipped the switch there. This is a much better team. It doesn't mean they're a 10-6, 11-5, 12-4 playoff team, but this is definitely a team that's going to be around that 500 mark, and it's a team that's going to be competitive even in their losses for the most part.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see them, and I told you, Matt, I guess, I don't know. There's so much to keep track here. I'm not really, fired up watching the last Raiders preseason game, but I was fired up to watch game 1 of the regular season and really got into this team. I'm excited to watch them. Chris Wynn, you're on here. If you're, leave some comments for us. Clearly, if you're watching, interact with us. We love hearing from you guys, but Jacobs is going to be a beast. Yeah, we know that. Really excited about him. I was really impressed and what you said, right? And I believe he tweeted out the eye-popping emoji when he found out that he joined some elite company with LaDainian Tomlinson in his career debut. So awesome. Connolly is going to be okay. Yeah, I guess cliche, you take the good with the bad. I don't know. But is Connolly going to play week 2 or he's out, right, for Kansas City?
No. He sounds like he's good to go. I talked to somebody on Tuesday morning, and Connolly was already at the facility. He said he felt good. All of the tests were negative. And he came out either later that day or yesterday and said that he was good to go. He feels ready to play. So all indications are he's going to play. I think his status is still listed as questionable, but it sounds like he's going to be there. He was at practice today, a little limited, but he was at practice and did participate. So I think Connolly will be on the field against the Chiefs on Sunday, and they need him, especially without Abram back there in that safety spot. You need somebody on the outside that can lock down Sammy Watkins, and Garyon Connolly is definitely that guy.
Yeah, so let's touch on Sunday. Kansas City coming into the black hole. How do you see this one playing out? I think I told you after Monday night, I think I don't know if it's 2 different classes of teams here, but what do you make of the matchup on Sunday?
I think you're going to see a lot of offense. I mean, you saw what is it, Minshew? Is that his name in Jacksonville, the rookie quarterback that stepped in after the injury?
Yeah.
He went out and he looked like a guy, like a vet that's been in the league for 10 years and really, really took apart that Kansas City defense. I don't think Kansas City's defense is good enough to get them where they want to go this season. I don't know that they have enough to get to the Super Bowl because of that defense. Their offense is still elite. You lost Tyreek Hill, though. That's a big deal. Um, I expect to see Williams coming out of the backfield a lot, catching a lot of passes. Sammy Watkins was great the other day, almost 200 yards and a couple touchdowns. Um, and then obviously Travis Kelce. I mean, Kelsey's destroyed the Raiders almost every time they played him. So you still have a lot to deal with, even without Tyreek Hill there. The thing that concerns me the most is the middle of the Raiders secondary, just beyond that linebacker core. You get into those skinny posts and those seam routes and those dig routes. That's where Flacco and the Broncos were able to beat up on the Raiders the other day. Their touchdown drive, a lot of that went right over the middle. Anytime they got a big chunk, it was over the middle there. And Kansas City, with the weapons they have, especially a guy like Kelce, again, that might be an issue. But I think the Raiders' offense can move the ball on Kansas City's defense. So I expect to see a pretty high-scoring game. Unfortunately, I do have Kansas City winning this game. I think they get a walk-off field goal, maybe 34-31 final. But it's going to be a good game. It should be entertaining. I think the Raiders hold their own.
All right, I buy that, and I'm sure Chris Wynn, aren't you a gambler? I don't know. I don't know what the line is. It's just popping
7
into my
last
head.
I saw.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it'd be a touchdown, and man, I don't know. You're trying to convince me to take the Raiders here. I don't know what I take. Maybe that's a stay away game. I don't know. I need to see a little bit more from Oakland here in week 2 because, again, you can see this in the NFL that I don't want to say flash in the pan because that's not what it was. It was really good play. But week to week, it's just, what Raiders team are we going to get? And hopefully, I guess my point is I haven't seen enough of them this season to know whether or not they can put consistent efforts in week in and week out. And going back to what you were saying, that's what you expect. I expect it too. I think it's just too early to tell. So maybe that's a steer clear.
Take the over. Take the over, John.
It's making me want to talk about UNLV football now, Matt.
Don't.
And right.
No.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't plan on it, right? And now it's like, okay, well, you want to talk about inconsistent football teams. UNLV football would be it. Going into Northwestern Saturday, I think you and I can both agree nobody's really expecting a W here. And I don't know what you've seen of this team so far, but I was at the first 2 games, was not impressed at all against Southern Utah. I mean, they scored 7 rushing touchdowns. They put up 50 points, but the passing game wasn't there. The passing game wasn't against Arkansas State at all. Just really unimpressed with Armani Rogers and his accuracy. The only thing that really impressed me is Charles Williams in the ground game. But if you can't pass the ball, again, it's the same MO for this team. You stack the box, you stop the run, and that's it. You're going to stop UNLV. So I don't know what you've seen out of this team so far. Maybe you just want to move on. You do want to move on, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
It's incredible how inaccurate Armani Rogers is throwing the ball. He's a freak athletically. The guy can run. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. He's a monster, but he can't throw the ball. If you're playing quarterback at the D1 level and you can't throw, you're probably not going to get too much done as far as wins and losses go. So, is it time to make the quarterback change? Are we going to see Oblad coming in here? Are we going to see a little more of a 2-quarterback system maybe? I don't know. I think it's hard to keep Rodgers off the field because he is so dynamic as a runner, but man, you got to be able to throw the ball, and he just can't do it. We talk about it all the time. What's his career high? 12 completions in one game? I mean, that's unacceptable. Yeah, it's completely unacceptable. He's not getting the job done at quarterback. And for all the talk about, how good he looked in camp and all the great things he was doing, that was all against the UNLV defense. And we saw what they did the other day. I mean, it's just this is not a bowl-worthy football team. They're not going to make a bowl again this year. It's going to be how many years in a row now? We're going on 6-7 years in a row since they made a bowl?
Yeah, 2014, 14. Yeah, I think 2014. And man, this is, we could make more out of this, right? You got the Fertitta Football Complex opening up, that massive facility. And it's like, all right, well, you got the facilities, you got the cannon, you got the boosters. So it's certainly, if we keep on going down the season here and see the kind of same result, I mean, I just hope they put a good half together against Northwestern, but and it's the next 5 out of 6, I believe, on the road, or it's 4 out of 5. It's a number that includes Boise State at home, and then Vanderbilt on the road, Wyoming on the road, Fresno State on the road. So it's a tough stretch here, and we'll just have to see what UNLV does. That's why that game against Arkansas State was so important. But I'll move on, Matt, because I know you want to. Las Vegas Aces, let's touch on them. Hey, we've got
Sure.
playoff basketball in Las
We do.
Vegas.
We
I don't
do.
know what's happening at the Mandalay Bay Event Center, but the Aces are getting booted.
It
For those of you
is.
who didn't know,
It's Mexican Independence Day this weekend,
yeah,
and it is what is his name? Fernandez, maybe, I forget.
yeah,
But it's very popular Mexican singer, and
gotcha,
he's got a concert going on that night, and it's my guess would be completely sold out
yeah,
because again it is Mexican Independence weekend, and it's probably going to be a big fat party down there at
yeah,
Mandalay Bay, but. I mean, this was probably booked how long in advance
yeah.
for this great weekend. So, you move the Aces over to the Thomas and Mack. There's been no real postseason basketball played over there lately. So, maybe this will be a turn of events here for everybody.
Sorry, that's good. That was good, Matt. Didn't think of that. When's the last time? Well, do you count the Mountain West tournament?
Yeah,
I guess you have to win a couple games in the Mountain West tournament to call it an official postseason
yeah,
run. I guess
exactly.
that's true. So, hey, if you're a UNLV student out there, just by chance, you get free tickets. Show your ID. You'll get 2 free tickets to the Aces game. They're playing Chicago, and I believe this is a team. It's single elimination in the first 2 rounds of the WNBA playoffs, so it's one and done. And this is a team that the Aces have beat at least 2 or 3 times this season. I'm not sure that they've lost to Chicago. So it should be a dub for the Aces, and they can move on. What I do know is that they've been fighting for seeding these last 5 or 6 games for the year and really haven't done themselves any favors moving up the board. So they'll play Chicago, and hopefully it's a win, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this team can do. I hope they are not one and done. I'd like to see them advance a little further and maybe even get to the finals. They really struggled down the stretch. I don't know if it was fatigue or just the amount of road games. I think they had 4 out of their last 5 or 6 games were on the road. Definitely a better home team than they are a road team, which is pretty standard in most sports, but definitely the case here with the Aces. So really excited to see how they turn out here at the Thomas and Mack. I hope they have a good crowd. I
Yeah.
really like to see a lot of students get out there and support this team. A lot bigger stadium or arena there at Thomas and Mack than you have at the Mandalay Bay. I don't know if they'll be tarping up that upper level to make it feel a little more cozy, but it'd be nice to see 7,000-8,000 fans pack the Mack there and support the Las Vegas Aces.
I think Chris Wynn knows what's going on over at Mandalay Bay. He's dark on Mondays. Make sure to tip your waitresses and bartenders. I like that comment. Thanks, Chris. Thanks always for hopping on. So they played July the 2nd. Aces win 90-82 over Chicago. I'm just going to scroll here so I make sure I get this. Chicago did win. It looks like this was a home game for the Aces. Unless, nope, the Aces are always on the bottom. Not sure if this was home or away. August the 9th, Chicago won 87-84. Then August the 18th, the Aces won at 185. And I believe that was Chicago at home for that one. So they've played 3 times, and the Aces winning 2 of those. That's a 2 o'clock start on Sunday, and that's around the same time as our last topic, which would be NASCAR weekend in Las Vegas. A triple header, Matt.
I know it.
You're going out there. So we've got the truck race Friday.
Yeah.
We've got the
Yeah.
Xfinity race Saturday. I believe the truck race, I'm not sure what time the truck race starts. I know, wealth of knowledge I am. The Xfinity race starts around 4, and then I know that the final race of the weekend, the South Point 400, that drops the green flag at 4:30 p.m. So second race, first race in the chase. Kyle Busch is the favorite to win the South Point 400, and it's a little bit different than the spring race. Now everybody's locked in the playoffs, so Kyle Busch isn't racing in the triple header or racing in the Xfinity Series and the Monster Energy Cup race. No, he's just focusing on the big boy, as he should.
Yeah.
But Matt, any sort of predictions, or you got any favorites here going into the race on Sunday?
Yeah, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. all have 4 wins this season, a bunch of top 5 finishes. Joey Logano, man. Logano always races well in Vegas. He finished 5th in point standings with a couple of wins and 10 top 5 finishes. So you know what? I think I rode Logano last time back in the March race. I'm going to stick with him again. He always seems to perform well here, so I'm going to go with Logano to pull out the victory this weekend.
Yeah, it seems like there's nobody that's really out of the ordinary that comes up and wins this race. Truex won last year, I want to say, but it's the same suspects, right? It's Keselowski, it's Logano that runs well. The only, I guess, dark horse that I give you, but he just, he's out of the chase now. He didn't qualify. Is Jimmy Johnson? I believe 4 or 5 wins in Las Vegas. Just as kind of faded away, which is unfortunate. You wonder how that is in auto racing. Just like in any other sport, is that, his age is getting up there and his performance is coming down. I don't know. You just have to keep your foot on the gas and turn the car.
It's a weird thing. It's not like Jimmy Johnson's all that old. I mean, he's still a relatively young guy, but I mean, I don't know. We saw Dale Sr. up until the unfortunate accident, and he was still winning races, and he was a lot older than what Jimmy Johnson is at this point.
Well, that's why I feel like it's strange, but again, it's a chase race, so I'm not sure that you can. It happens, but it's not common that a non-chase participant ends up winning the race.
Right.
But if you were going to go with a dark horse, maybe go with Jimmy Johnson. Hey, you saw the Goodyear blimp today. So did I. I was on Desert Inn. In a
Flew
bunch
right
of
over my
traffic.
house, John.
Oh, how about that? Well, then it must have been traveling because it was on the west side of town at around 5-ish when I was on Desert Inn heading west. And it was above the strip at that time. But I was wondering if like a hauler parade was happening. But do you remember the blimp being here? I don't feel like the blimp's been in Vegas for a long time.
I don't remember seeing it here before. I've definitely never seen it fly over my house, which was kind of a cool scene. It was about 1:30 in the afternoon, and I walked outside, and there's a blimp right above it was the craziest thing to see. That's the Goodyear blimp out here. It was amazing. Felt like Ice Cube for a minute.
I wonder.
No, it was really cool. I saw it over the strip at around 4 o'clock or so. It was on the other side of town over the strip. So, yeah, it was definitely making the rounds. I assumed by the direction it was going past my house, it was headed for the speedway, but I guess it was just doing laps, a lot like the cars are going to be doing this weekend.
Yeah, I wonder where they park that thing. I mean, do you land it next to the speedway? I was out at the track yesterday,
Just
by the way.
Leave it hovering.
Oh, yeah.
Tie a rope to it. Leave it hovering.
I guess so. I'm sure they have accommodations in the cabin there that the pilot can take a nap. I was out at the track. Nothing really special to tell you, other than to tell you I was at the track and really excited about race weekend. There was a lot of grasshoppers out there, and that was like in the infield grass. So I don't know how that could affect the aerodynamics if you get a lot of grasshopper crap in your front grill or on your windshield. But the grasshoppers are out at the track, so
they've got those tearaway pieces on the windshield. They just rip that right off, and they'll be good to go.
See. I was going to talk about the fight, Tyson Fury. I don't know. I have no idea about this guy that he's fighting, so it seems like Fury's going to be a heavy favorite, but you're a boxing guy, Matt, so break this one down for us.
Undefeated guy. I believe he's Swedish, if I remember right. I'll have to go back and double check that.
Swede boxing? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I know. Well, heavyweight division. It's a little different up there.
Yeah.
Fully expect Tyson Fury to come out of this with the victory. I actually just found out that I will be attending that fight on Saturday night. So looking forward to that. It's always nice to get out to a professional boxing match, especially here in Vegas. Fight night's always a good time. So, yeah, Fury is one of the better heavyweight boxers in the world. And completely expect him to come out with a victory. Both guys are undefeated. Fury does have 1 draw on his record, but it's always fun to see a couple undefeated fighters get after it. Too bad we couldn't see Joshua and Wilder undefeated because Joshua lost his last fight.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up. I don't know what this headline means. I'm just reading it. Tyson Fury claims he sank 4 pints of beer night before Deontay Wilder fight. Does that mean anything to you?
It's not like he had to make weight. I mean,
yeah,
Okay. It's Tyson Fury. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Otto Wallin, Wallin, is the guy that he's fighting. All right. Any final thoughts? Anything about Knight's Camp before we get out of here?
No, man. I should be out there tomorrow morning. See what these guys have going on, and we'll report on that. But it's good to see you again, John.
Yeah. Make sure you do a live video out there. Great to see you, Matt. Again, as we continue to search for a permanent home, we're just going to start these again. I was on vacation in Hawaii, not to make anybody jealous, but I was gone for like 3 weeks. And then I was just like, no sports adrenaline. And then finally got back. into town, and I'm like, why aren't we doing these? Because I was off the face of the earth for a few weeks. So we'll be back next Thursday, or we'll pick a day next week. We'll certainly let everybody know. But thanks for hopping on, Matt, and I'll see you
Always.
this weekend.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, everybody.